everyone, I'm Dana Perino. This is The Five, and there are stunning new details about another investigation involving Hillary Clinton just 5 days before Americans go to the polls. The FBI has been investigating the Clinton Foundation for more than a year, looking into possible pay-for-play deals between the former Secretary of State and donors to her family's charity. According to sources of our chief political anchor, Bret Baier, this probe is a very high priority for the Bureau, propelled by an avalanche of brand new evidence. Let's bring in Bret now. He is the anchor of Special Report. Why don't you catch us up if people haven't had a chance to see your show last night, and what sort of follow-up you've had today?
Hey, Dana. Two sources with intimate knowledge of the investigations, because you have the email investigation that's run by the National Security Division of the FBI and the Clinton Foundation investigation that's run by the White Collar Crime Division, the public corruption branch of the FBI. They have been going on, the Clinton Foundation investigation, despite some reports that it had stopped. It never stopped, and it continued, and it has been wide-ranging, involving 4 different offices of the FBI. It is being run out of the New York office, actually. They characterized the information coming in as flowing in because they have new information coming from the WikiLeaks emails that are showing some interaction between the Clinton Foundation and the time at the State Department, not only with Secretary Clinton, but you have also the emails about Huma Abedin, Cheryl Mills, who both at one time or another were at least tangentially taking paychecks from both the State Department and the Foundation, or Teneo, the company that's tied to the Foundation. They don't eliminate the fact that there is a split inside the FBI, not only between the FBI and the DOJ on how this is moving forward and the extent to which they believe it is substantial, but there's also a split within the FBI about this, and it is very out in the open, as you saw in the Wall Street Journal piece that came out today. That doesn't take away from the fact that there are people still going after it every day and believe that that they have a lot of information that's flowing in.
All right, we're going to take it around the table. We'll start with Eric.
Bret, can you shine some light on this discussion within the FBI about some of the agents and some of the higher level agents upset that the DOJ, specifically Attorney General Loretta Lynch, wanting to push back on some of the investigation into the Clinton Foundation, and whether that was what spurred Comey to actually come out and say there's a lot more we need to reinvestigate the Clintons?
Yeah, I think that that's part of it, Eric, and we don't have a lot of granular detail about the anger, but we do know that there was anger and is anger inside the FBI about how this progressed. Whether that, we don't have, the ability to go into Jim Comey's head, but whether that was part of his calculation with what he did with the letter to Congress, we'll see. Part of the calculation was clearly that Loretta Lynch met with the former president on the tarmac in Arizona, and that, took her, for the most part, out of that equation and gave Comey the go-ahead to do what he did. I do want to mention about the hacking. There is really a lot of confidence, high confidence, that the private server of Hillary Clinton was hacked by some foreign intelligence agencies. One source said up to 5 of them. You'll remember back in July that Comey, when he made his announcement, said there was possible foreign actors possibly gained access. He went on to say that foreign hostile actors did go after and get into the personal email accounts of some of the people tied to Secretary Clinton. He then went on to say that Secretary Clinton's server was less secure than the average Gmail account. These sources point back to that testimony as being probably right on, and that he could have said at that time it's probable that it got in at that time in July, or even highly likely.
All right. Juan Williams.
Bret, it strikes me that he didn't say that, but I just wanted to ask you about some of the reporting that we've been hearing from you recently, because today on the campaign trail you have Donald Trump citing you as saying that there's likely an indictment coming on the basis of the FBI's work, and Donald Trump suggesting, based on innuendo, that the FBI is leaking this to become involved with politics and aiming at an indictment of Hillary Clinton. Is that right?
Well, first of all, on the likely indictment thing, that was an inartful way to answer a question at 7 o'clock, which I was asked about where it was going from here. The real situation is obviously these investigators are building a case. They are gathering evidence, and as investigators do, they feel strongly about the evidence that they have. But they still have to present it to a prosecutor, and then that prosecutor has to go in front of a grand jury, and that's the process. If not a DOJ prosecutor, then possibly a special prosecutor that could only be appointed by the Attorney General. So the process, it was inartful the way I said it. The people we talked to said they believe they have a lot of evidence and would continue that effort after the election, was my point, to continue to push possibly for an indictment. The fact that Donald Trump uses it on the campaign trail, this has been covered. It is a fact that the Foundation investigation has been going on for a year, that it is continuing. And unfortunately, the way I answered that one question at 7 o'clock obviously made it into a lot of headlines.
Indeed.
Morning.
All right, Kimberly.
And thank you for not avoiding the 5, because we're big fans of yours here. So as a former prosecutor, when you say, and I hear from investigators, that they have a lot of evidence, that's very sufficient to bring in front of a grand jury to present for an indictment. That's just the facts. It's not like you're putting a case in front of a jury trial yet with a different standard. To get an indictment, you have to show that there is the probable cause, sufficient evidence exists, that a crime has been committed. It's not that high of a standard, to be quite honest, having tried and put many cases in front of a grand jury. Nevertheless, it sounds like this investigation is going forward, that it's got legs, as we say, and that what are the next steps, can you say, besides the fact that perhaps the special prosecutors, obviously people have some concerns about Justice or Attorney General handing it directly, especially given what's transpired prior to this?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see anything between now and Election Day. I don't think that, I think that this is a slow-moving process, that there is anger in some quarters inside about how this has been handled, and perhaps that's why, you know, some of this and other stories have come out. The Wall Street Journal kind of depicted that this morning in their story. I do think, and remember also, any target would have the opportunity, if there was a grand jury, to testify.
For evidence in their defense.
I think, yeah, and for evidence in defense. I think that there may be efforts to get people to cooperate if you get to that point. When we say a lot of evidence, we don't have a characterization of what exactly that is, but we can see the WikiLeaks emails coming out every day, and we can see what has been reported already about the various elements of the interaction between different companies and the foundation. We should point out that the campaign is clear, that they don't think that there is any violation here, that they tout the success of the foundation for doing good things around the world. The foundation itself put out a statement today saying that they're not aware of an investigation, but we can tell you that one is continuing.
All right, Gutfeld.
Hey, Bret, so there's going back to this, the fact that there are two things going on. It seems to me that one side, the Clinton Foundation stuff, it sounds like a quarrel between the top brass and the guys on the street, like an episode of Beretta. And it's like another institution that seems to be rattled by 2016. Like every organization, institution, political or otherwise, seems to be having some kind of conflict that is born out of this election because no one is happy with the choices, so they're turning on themselves. They're devouring each other because they're so dissatisfied. That's one part. The other part is the story that I think is the big one, is what you mentioned. The hacking is huge. I mean, it sounds like it's like 99% certain. How can we get to 100% on that? What? I mean, I want to know. I mean, this is a big deal. That's a problem.
Yeah. If you ask any, well, first of all, on your first question, these guys are about the FBI. They're not about the politics, honestly. I mean, I've pressed a number of different sources, a number of different ways. As far as I can tell, they're not fans of of anybody. They're talking about investigating. And as far as where we're talking about this hacking, they've thought that for a long time. If you talk to experts in the field, they would say that was wide open for a foreign intelligence agency to go in. The Clinton campaign can tell you that it never happened, but there's a WikiLeaks just this week that the IT guy, Brian Pagliano, emails that in 2 days they had 10 serious attacks that he notified the U.S. Secret Service about. Now, back then in July, Comey testified and announced that foreign actors had gotten access to people that Hillary Clinton emailed with. Well, it doesn't take, there was a New York Times story back in July that said it doesn't take a lot to connect one to the other, and the digital breadcrumbs are easy to get to the server. So there is a high confidence. And as far as how many foreign intelligence agencies, one source said 5, who knows, but it's more than one.
Can I just jump in? I know we got to go, but very quickly, so our audience understands, Brett, there are 2 lanes to the FBI investigations going on simultaneously, right? So whether or not she emailed classified material and was hacked is one lane, and the other lane being whether there was corruption between the Clinton Foundation and various other actors. Either one or both could end up in an indictment of Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's true, and they're both continuing. Obviously, they're going through the Anthony Weiner laptop and all of that digging into. We've confirmed that they have the 2 other laptops of Cheryl Mills, the former chief of staff, and Heather Samuelson, top aide. We thought they might have been destroyed. They weren't. They're in the FBI office here in Washington, D.C. And you also have the emails that have already gone through and the emails that they're just learning about. So, yeah, you have 2 tracks, the Foundation and the email investigation.
All right. Thank you, Brett. He'll have much more tonight on Special Report at 6 p.m. You can tune in then.